The rescue ship Meridian's Hope had been drifting through the Kepler expanse for 3 days when they discovered the wreckage. Captain Hannah Rodriguez stood on the bridge, her dark eyes scanning the debris field that stretched across the view screen like scattered stars. "Life signs?" she asked, though her voice carried little hope. "2 faint readings, Captain," her first officer replied. "They're weak." "Very weak," Hannah didn't hesitate. "Prep the medical bay. I'm taking a shuttle." 15 minutes later, she was pulling 2 small figures from the twisted remains of what had once been a Zephyrian transport vessel. The aliens were children, twins by the look of them, with luminescent blue skin that had faded to a sickly gray. Their respiratory systems were failing in the cold vacuum exposure they'd endured. Hannah worked quickly, stabilizing them in emergency pods before rushing them back to the Meridian. The twins survived. Barely. Dr. Chen worked through the night, his instruments humming as he repaired damaged tissue and regulated their body temperatures. By morning they were stable but unconscious, their small forms barely making impressions in the medical bay beds. It was young Evan Martinez who found them first when he wandered into the medical bay the next afternoon. The 5-year-old had been traveling with his mother, a civilian engineer consulting on the Meridian's recycling systems. His eyes went wide when he saw the 2 alien children. "Mama, they're blue," he whispered, pressing his face against the transparent barrier of the medical unit. "They're Zephyrians, sweetie," his mother explained gently. "They were in an accident. The doctors are helping them." Evan watched them for a long moment, his small hand pressed against the barrier. "Are they cold?" "They're okay now, Evan. The medical unit keeps them warm." But Evan wasn't convinced. He could see them shivering slightly, their bodies trembling even in their medically induced sleep. He knew what it felt like to be cold, remembered the time the heating had failed in their quarters back on Mars Station, and how scared he'd been until Mama had wrapped him in his blanket. His blanket. Without a word, Evan ran back to his quarters. He returned minutes later, dragging his most prized possession, a worn blue blanket covered in stars and rockets that had been his since he was a baby. It smelled like home and safety and everything warm. "Evan, no," his mother started, but Dr. Chen held up a hand. "Let's see what he wants to do." The boy approached the medical unit where the twins lay. "Can you open it?" "Just a little?" Dr. Chen looked at the monitor readings, then at the determined face of the 5-year-old. For just a moment, the barrier lowered slightly and Evan carefully laid his blanket over the 2 sleeping forms. It barely covered them both, but he tucked it in gently, the way Mama always did for him. "There," he said softly. "Now you won't be cold." The barrier closed again and Evan stood watch for a few more minutes before his mother led him away. But something remarkable happened over the next hour. The twins' vital signs began to improve, not from any medical intervention but from something the doctors couldn't quite explain. Their color began to return, their breathing steadied, and by evening, their eyes flickered open for the first time. When Hannah came to check on them, she found both children awake, their large violet eyes fixed on the small blanket that covered them. They were touching it with reverent curiosity, their small fingers tracing the rocket ships and stars. "Captain," Dr. Chen said quietly, pulling her aside, "you need to understand something about Zephyrian culture. They're an ancient race, highly advanced, but they place tremendous value on acts of pure intention, especially from the young." "I don't understand." "That boy, Evan, gave them his most treasured possession. Zephyrians can sense emotional resonance in objects. They know what that blanket means to him. They know he gave them something that makes him feel safe when he's scared." The implications of this were still sinking in when, 3 days later, a massive Zephyrian fleet appeared at the edge of the system. Hannah's blood ran cold as the sensor readings came in. 12 warships, each capable of reducing the Meridian to atoms. The lead vessel was something else entirely, a diplomatic cruiser that dwarfed even the largest human station. "They're hailing us," communications reported, voice shaking. The face that appeared on the view screen was ancient and wise, with skin that shimmered like the aurora borealis. "I am eldest Kathon. We have come for our children." Hannah stood straight. "They're safe. We've cared for them as best we know," the eldest interrupted, but his tone was warm. "We know everything. The child, the blanket, the gift." A pause hung in space. "For 300 cycles, the Zephyrian people have held humanity at the borders of our space. We have watched. We have judged. We have found you loud, chaotic, and dangerously unpredictable. The eldest's expression softened. But we have never seen one of you give away your comfort to ease another's suffering, especially not a child who knows nothing of politics or advantage. Hannah's throat tightened. The boy Evan has done what no diplomat could do. He has shown us the heart of humanity. The eldest bowed his head. The Zephyrian Council has voted. Humanity is hereby granted full trading rights, passage through our space, and the protection of our fleets. The treaty documents are being transmitted now. I don't know what to say. Hannah managed. Say nothing, but tell the boy that his blanket will be returned to him, along with a gift from 2 children who will never forget his kindness, and tell him that he has made us all believe in the goodness that can exist in the universe. As the Zephyrian ships began their graceful departure, Hannah found Evan in the observation lounge, nose pressed against the window. Are they leaving? He asked. Yes, sweetheart. But you did something amazing today, something that might change everything for all of us. Evan thought about this. Did the blue kids like my blanket? They loved it. Good, Evan said simply. Nobody should be cold. And in that moment, Hannah understood why the Zephyrians had opened their borders. Because sometimes the greatest wisdom comes from the smallest hearts.